Before there was a country, there was an idea. And before the idea, there was a journalist. Theodor Herzl was not born a revolutionary. He was born in 1860, in Budapest, into a well-educated, assimilated Jewish family. They believed integration was the future. Herzl didn't grow up dreaming of a separate Jewish state. In fact, at first, he believed the exact opposite. He studied law, he wrote plays, he moved to Vienna and became a respected journalist. He truly admired European culture and was convinced that reason would eventually triumph over prejudice. But the Europe he knew was changing. Nationalism was on the rise, empires were trembling, and anti-Semitism wasn't fading away, it was evolving into something new and more dangerous. Then came 1894, the Dreyfus Affair. In Paris, the very city of enlightenment, a Jewish army officer named Alfred Dreyfus was falsely accused of treason. As Herzl covered the trial, he heard crowds in the streets shouting, "Death to the Jews." He was there. He witnessed a modern, educated society turn irrational. He watched a democracy fail to protect one of its own. And in that moment, something shifted inside him. If assimilation couldn't guarantee safety, then what could? Herzl reached a radical conclusion. The Jewish question was not religious, it was political. And political problems require political solutions. In 1896, he published a short, powerful book, Der Judenstaat, The Jewish State. His writing wasn't emotional, it was strategic. He laid out a clear argument that Jews were a people, a nation, not just a religion. And like the other peoples of Europe, they needed sovereignty to secure their future. The idea was incredibly controversial, even among many Jews. Some called it an unrealistic fantasy, others called it dangerous. But Herzl did not stop, because once an idea enters history, it doesn't just disappear. It spreads, it grows, and sometimes it changes the world. Books can spark conversations, but movements require structure. When Theodor Herzl published The Jewish State, he didn't expect applause. He got resistance. Many Jewish leaders believed that true freedom within Europe was still possible. Some worried that demanding a separate state would only make things worse, increasing hostility. Religious authorities even questioned whether a political state should exist before the Messianic era. Herzl listened to all of this, and then he acted. In 1897, in Basel, Switzerland, he organized something unprecedented, the First Zionist Congress. Delegates came from all over Europe and beyond. They spoke different languages, had different traditions, and held different visions. Some wanted to start settling immediately. Others insisted on diplomacy first. Some focused on Palestine, while others mentioned different locations. But for the first time in modern history, the idea of Jewish statehood wasn't just in private letters, it was being debated in a formal political assembly. Herzl chaired the Congress with care. He was calm, precise, and strategic. By the end, they adopted a program. The goal of Zionism was to create a home for the Jewish people in Palestine, secured by public law. This wasn't a declaration of independence, but it was a beginning. That night, Herzl wrote in his diary, "In Basel, I founded the Jewish state. If I said this out loud today, I would be met with universal laughter. In 5 years, perhaps, and certainly in 50, everyone will know it." He understood something crucial. Ideas need institutions. Institutions need diplomacy, and diplomacy requires power. So Herzl started traveling. He met with Ottoman officials, European ministers, even the German Kaiser. He proposed charters and offered financial support in exchange for land rights. Some meetings were polite, others dismissive. None brought immediate success. But something fundamental had shifted. Zionism was no longer just a scattered dream. It had become a political movement, and Herzl had become its face. Not a prophet or a warrior, but an organizer of possibility. And the world was starting to take notice. Ever heard of the Uganda Proposal? It's a fascinating, almost forgotten chapter in the story of the Jewish state. And it all revolves around one man, Theodor Herzl. In the late 19th century, Herzl, the father of modern Zionism, was desperately searching for a safe haven for the Jewish people who were facing brutal persecution, especially in Eastern Europe. The dream was always to return to Zion, the historical homeland. But the immediate crisis was so severe, Herzl felt he needed a temporary solution, night shelter, as he called it. In 1903, the British government made a shocking offer, a 13,000 square kilometer territory in what is now modern-day Kenya, then part of British East Africa, often mistakenly called the Uganda Proposal. Herzl was torn. He saw it as a potential emergency refuge to save lives right away. He presented the plan at the Sixth Zionist Congress, and it nearly tore the movement apart. Many delegates were horrified. For them, it was Zion or nothing. The emotional debate was intense, with many Russian Jews, who were facing the worst of the violence, walking out in protest. They felt that considering any place other than the historic land of Israel was a betrayal of the entire Zionist dream. In the end, Herzl, seeing the deep division, managed to get the Congress to agree only to investigate the proposal, not accept it. A commission was sent to Africa, and they ultimately found the land unsuitable. The plan was officially rejected in 1905. Herzl himself died in 1904, his heart broken by the internal conflict and the immense pressure. Though the Uganda Proposal failed, it highlights the desperation of the time and Herzl's pragmatic, if controversial, leadership. It was a critical moment that ultimately reinforced the idea that for the Zionist movement, there could only be one destination. Have you ever wondered how a journalist and playwright could end up as the father of a modern nation? Let's talk about Theodor Herzl, a name you might know, but a story you need to hear. Picture this. It's the late 19th century in Europe. Herzl, a successful writer in Vienna, is witnessing rising anti-Semitism, especially during the Dreyfus affair in Paris. He sees a Jewish army captain wrongly convicted of treason, and it's a wake-up call. Assimilation, he realizes, isn't the answer. The Jewish people need their own homeland. So, what does he do? He writes a book, The Jewish State, in 1896. It wasn't just a book, it was a blueprint. He outlined a practical plan for creating a Jewish nation, covering everything from the flag to the political structure. It was bold, it was radical, and it ignited a spark. A year later, he organized the First Zionist Congress in Basel, Switzerland. This wasn't just a meeting, it was the birth of a political movement. Herzl, with his commanding presence and passionate speeches, united Jews from all over the world under one common goal. He tirelessly traveled, meeting with world leaders, emperors, sultans, and ministers trying to gain support for his vision. Although Herzl didn't live to see his dream fully realized, he passed away in 1904, at just 44. His famous words, "If you will it is no dream," became a prophecy. His dedication laid the groundwork for the State of Israel, established 44 years after his death. His life is a powerful testament to how one person's vision and relentless effort can change the course of history. Thanks for watching. If you found this story inspiring, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into history's most fascinating figures.